everybody?
What's happening?
Thank you for being here. This is another episode of LTMB Live. Let the madness begin. I'm Will Gaylord.
And I'm Michael White.
Welcome to the show. This is the YouTube channel, and we do have the Facebook stream available too. Let's get them on so they can see a little bit of the show.
What are you doing?
What's going on, Facebook?
Facebook in the house.
How you doing? This is another episode of LTMB Live, Thursday, October 12th now. What's going on, everybody? Let's let some people fill in before we get started here.
Already got 10 in the house right now.
Yeah, on Facebook. Hope everybody's doing well. If you could, especially on Facebook, share this video for us, because of course, as always, we're trying to branch out, broaden the audience, broaden the viewership. So we appreciate the people that do watch us regularly, the people that come by for a few minutes, whatever, that comment, that get engaged. You make this possible, you know, you keep it lively. And we appreciate it immensely. And we do have a patreon.com account as well as patreon.com/LTMB if you want to support the program and be a pivotal part of us upgrading everything that has to do with the show. Because hashtag what, Mike?
Broke broadcasters.
Hashtag broke broadcasters. All right. So let's get started with a few headlines that are, you know, making the rounds in the news right now.
What's everybody talking about right now?
Everybody talking about Eminem right now.
His diss track?
Yeah, that freestyle
diss track?
Yeah. It was, I guess it was showcased at the BET Awards on Tuesday night. And, you know, a lot of people talking about it. It's been viewed over, I don't know. I mean, it's been viewed millions of times by now. But he went in.
Yeah, he went in. I have, you know, and a lot of people probably disagree with me, but maybe, I mean, I guess maybe I already have like a running idea of like the quality Eminem should bring.
Right.
To me, I thought it was a little weak and mediocre. Now, the message, great, but I thought like it just, to me, just comparatively from, you know, other stuff he's put out, it just seemed a little weak and mediocre, but whatever, it was nice and timely. So yeah, whatever,
it was nice and timely.
No, it's like, I'm not saying it was whack.
No.
Saying, like,
I get what you're saying, because some of it was like, he
mentioned something about Obama and something else.
Yeah, like missing Obama,
or
respecting Obama.
Respecting Obama.
Like
and I was like, okay, I guess when you're looking at it from, it's one of those things where you have to judge it from where he's coming from.
Yeah,
it's kind of like because Nick Cannon is like real political too.
Yeah, he's had some.
He put a lot of videos out. That's the thing. That's why I don't like. I kind of don't like all the attention Eminem is getting. I don't like the kind of attention because they're making it seem like ain't nobody else been doing this, and like that's why I shouted out Nick Cannon, because he's been doing this since before the election. He was doing before the election, putting out like mad stuff. So
Eminem, just the name alone though brings a certain audience, you know, because I mean, to some people Eminem is one of the greatest rappers of all time. So of course he brings a lot of attention whenever he does, especially when he goes political. Yeah,
and I think like and another thing I don't like about how people were responding to it is they're making it just about him and Trump. And I was like, there were some lyrics in there where you kind of poked at Trump supporters too. I think that would be, you know, that would create a little more in-depth conversation rather than just making it about Trump. Because if you just make it about Trump, it just becomes, I guess, a cage fight like any other cage fight that goes on between Trump and, you know, whoever his, you know, main detractor is at the time. So I kind of wish people's conversation about the whole diss track would branch out, because he actually was talking about Trump supporters too.
Well,
so
I like one of the things he said in this freestyle. He says you're spitting in the face of vets who fought for us, you bastard. Unless you're a POW who's tortured, cause him you know, cause to him you're zero because he don't like his war heroes captured. That's not disrespecting the military.
Yeah, that was.
Now we've talked about that before too, because this whole NFL controversy about kneeling for the flag or sitting down for the flag, Trump has he's interjected himself into this conversation, and he has said that it is so disrespectful to the members of our military, to the flag, to patriots. But like I said, we've talked about how before he was president, he was on the campaign trail talking about Senator John McCain, saying that he really wasn't a war hero. He was just a war hero because he got captured, and you know, he likes his people. He likes his war heroes that weren't captured, you know. So it's kind of interesting that people are, you know, they get so worked up over something, an act that is not really disrespectful. And let me not even say disrespectful. I know. It is absolutely not disrespectful to the things that they are saying it's disrespectful to. The military, the flag, the country, whatever, the national anthem. It's not disrespectful at all to that. But when your candidate, you're a loyalist to Donald Trump, when he actually does something that is disrespectful to the military, to people that were captured overseas, that were held for a great amount of time, you're disparaging their efforts. Really, you're disparaging their whole service. But for some reason, his loyalists do not feel like that's anything to be.
Didn't he kind of,
you know,
I think
like that's disrespectful.
I think he did one that was, I think he leveled up on the despicable scale when with the Muslim soldier, remember that?
Oh yeah,
the death of the Muslim soldier, he disparaged the family.
Yeah, he did. Yeah. And they spoke at the
convention,
the DNC.
Yeah,
right. Yeah. Eminem, he ended it off his freestyle with and any fan of mine who's a supporter of his, I'm drawing in the sand a line. You're either for or against, and if you can't decide who you like more, and you're split on who should stand beside, I'll do it for you with this. F you. And he put up his middle finger. So of course, because of that, many fans have been like, I'm not gonna listen to your music at all anymore, man. I can't believe you said this. It shouldn't be controversial. It shouldn't be, because at this point, to a certain degree, Donald Trump is a one of a kind president. Not in his actions, but in his rhetoric. There have been divisive presidents before, and I'm sure there will be again. But you couldn't even say the same about. You couldn't talk the same way like if Mike Pence was the president. You couldn't really talk the same way, because Trump puts it out there in a very flagrant, in a really blatant manner, to where anybody that says that, oh, well, you know, he's not really a bigot, he's not really a racist, you don't have a leg to stand on, because he gives it to you right in front of your face. He doesn't care about showing that side of him, showing that side of him to the whole country, to the whole world. Mike Pence will do it in a very veiled manner. Other people will do it in a very veiled manner. We've seen this before. Like, this is nothing new. But Trump, like I said, his rhetoric is, bam, it's right in your face. So that's why it's so easy for people to be so vocal about their contempt for him.
So, along with that, if you're saying it's easy for people to be, you know, vocal about their contempt, then it's just as easy to call out those people who purposefully and kind of go out of their way to excuse it.
Yeah.
So I'm saying, so I think that's another element to it too. It doesn't just make it easy for us to call out Trump. It kind of makes it easy to call out people who bend over backwards and kind of twist themselves into pretzels to make excuses for it and try to defend it.
No doubt. Also, in Northern California, we talked before about the fires, the wildfires that are growing, all the land, over 100,000 acres that are burning because of these wildfires that are out of control and that firefighters are trying to fight. Winds are, I believe winds are still kind of low right now, so it's not really doing any good for combating these fires. Last I heard that there were at least 29 people dead and hundreds of missing people. Homes, businesses, buildings, all been burned up. I've seen even more video of this catastrophe now. I saw one person driving down the road, fires on both sides. I mean, it's
looks like some Armageddon stuff.
Yeah,
man.
it's absolutely. Yeah, it looks like movies.
No, see, now that looks like a movie.
Now
scene.
that looks like a movie.
Not like something else we're about to talk about,
Yeah,
but now
not
that
like
looks like a movie.
This looks
scene.
like an actual movie. Like you wouldn't.
They've even solicited the help of prison labor to deal with some of the the fires and some of the maintenance with that.
Right. I mean, it's crazy, and they're paying them a little bit more too.
Just a little bit more.
Yeah, just a little bit more.
Yeah.
It still looks like slave wages, but they are paying them a little bit more, and I believe they're getting more time off their sentence. Yeah, if they're helping.
And they already, the thing is, they already have to be on their best behavior anyway to even get on a program like that.
Right.
So.
Right. Also, there's been warnings about the worst ever readings in terms of air quality. Ash is falling from the sky. Again, this is
Armageddon.
Yeah,
ash falling from the sky.
I mean, this is ridiculous. We've always seen, these wildfires, especially in California, before, but this seems like the sheer magnitude and the speed at which it is destroying land, burning it is, my goodness. I don't know that we've seen this before. I don't know.
That's the thing, because like if you look at like the footage and the scenery and the aftermath, it's worse than a tornado. Like a tornado can like go here, jump there, and then like not really touch areas and then move on to other areas. Like there are houses that may be completely destroyed and then houses that didn't get touched.
True.
With this wildfire, it's like, yo, if your house is there,
it's gone.
It's gone.
Gone. It's crazy. It's crazy. So I don't know. I mean, of course, there's been many evacuations, and like we said, people are trying to fight this thing the best they can, enlisting the services of prisoners to do so. Firefighters, they're sending officials in from different parts of the country as well. I don't know. I hate it for that area, Also, there's been some, throughout the days, there have been, multiple updates about the Las Vegas shooting. The latest that I saw was there was a maintenance worker named Steven Shuck, and he claims to have been on the 32nd floor before the shooting started. So he says that he was on the 32nd floor to inspect a fire door, a report of a fire door being jammed, when he started hearing the shooting, and he saw the security guard, I guess, come out of a alcove or something like that, and I guess he had already been hit, and he told him to get the cover. Shooting stopped, and I believe they made their way down the hall, and then the shooting started again. I don't know, that might have been the 6-minute gap, from the security guard being shot to him shooting the concert goers, some 400 yards away outside. But like I said, that's an update on this situation. Now the Mandalay Bay, the company that owns the Mandalay Bay, they've said some things about how they're questioning the new timeline that's been put out there, I guess, by the sheriff's department. They don't know if it's accurate or not. They're saying that they're not certain that that timeline is accurate, but they understand that it's an open investigation, a lot of moving parts, and I guess they're just like everybody else waiting for a more
succinct,
conclusive
narrative that explains everything in a more accurate way. But why do you think it's important that people kind of update themselves on new information that comes out about this?
You asked the most simplistic question. Why should people update themselves about what's going on?
That was a serious question, though.
Probably to form a more complete picture about the events that transpired. Because we know this. Whenever something like this would happen, and in the course of an investigation, they're charged with recreating the events. So that can be understood or it can be understood that several things may change along the way.
You mean the people investigating kind of construct the scene and construct the situation and the scenario based on information that they gather over a period of time? Yes. Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
So you're saying precisely. The story, the narrative is going to change?
Yes.
So, okay, all right.
As more details are...
All right, go down the path. Let's go down the path. So, there has never been an official story. Is that what you're saying?
Like a conclusive
story.
No, there's never been an official story.
So nobody has put out,
this is what we know as of yet.
So no one really, there's not one place you can go that will tell you a conclusive story.
No.
Whether it be a mainstream news source or Las Vegas Police Department. Am I right?
No, they won't. They won't say that.
Okay then. Let's keep going down the path. So if there's no official story,
yeah,
then
how could the official story not make sense?
Yeah, if there is no official story. So when people say the official story doesn't make sense and there is none, what are they talking about?
It's the official story that they've put together.
So they put an official story together themselves.
Yes.
To debunk it.
And they've solidified it in stone.
Yeah.
And they said that, look, what we have here, like with all the details that have been released, if it's not fitting what I've crafted, what I've put together, then obviously something foul is at play. Somebody's lying to us.
It's like a big straw man.
Yeah.
I'm going to set up a straw man and say, this is the official story. And then, since the official story hasn't actually been constructed yet, it's going to have holes. Oh, and you already know that.
And let me throw in like 12 hours after too.
Yeah. So like basically they're just setting up a straw man so they can knock it down.
Quickly.
But then, to me it just seems as if they're trying to set it up no matter what comes out.
No matter what, man.
So if there is an official story too early, they'll say what?
If there's an official story too early,
yeah, then
they'll say, yeah, it's not making sense. They're lying to us.
But it wasn't like that in this case. But let's just say it was. They'd be like, oh, that doesn't make sense. There shouldn't be an official story. They don't have all the information yet.
Right.
That's an incorrect narrative. Okay. So when the narrative changes because of information, then what do they say?
They say, oh, look, see, the story changed. They're lying. They're lying. They're lying.
So basically, it's a psychological setup, so you could go in the same path regardless of what presents itself.
Nothing is gonna make sense because you already presume that whatever story that you're being given is a lie. So nothing is gonna make sense on either end.
So nothing is going to satiate their need, like, to hear the truth or information. Okay.
We've even heard, and we'll just deal with this very quickly, we've even heard about the hotel windows, right? We've heard that either the windows did have alarms on them, or they should have had alarms or sensors on them, so that if the windows are broken out, then that would alert hotel staff, hotel security, and then they would be able to make it to wherever this window is being broken out, so that they would know something's going on.
And from where the source we heard this from, the motive behind that was you already shaking your head. He's like, no, I can't even hear it again. I know, it's so ridiculous, right? Yeah. Like, the motive is if someone is gambling in the casino and they lose their life savings, right? You people, you distraught. So they don't want people breaking the windows and jumping to their deaths. So what they do is, what this source said, is that there's sensors on the windows that would alert security, so security can run up and, you know, prevent the person from jumping to avoid wrongful death lawsuits. Yes. But I'm thinking, I'm like, wait a second.
That make sense?
Not only that, how could it make sense? So I'm pretty sure that door locked. I'm pretty sure they locked the damn door. I'm pretty sure they don't leave the door open just for somebody to rush in.
No.
You know what I'm saying?
Look. For there to be a wrongful death lawsuit, you would have to Like, there's a big part of that would have to be surrounded in negligence. You would have to prove negligence to some degree. Somebody, some people, an organization, the employee, somebody would have to be negligent. How could the hotel be negligent if you willingly bust out a window and jump to your death?
He's saying that there's not like...
It's not like the glass fell.
There's not safeguards. There's not measures. That's what he's saying.
The glass is strong as what, man? It's not bulletproof, but we've seen the glass at hotels. The glass is very, very strong. It has to incur winds, right? It has to incur winds, right? They can't crack.
Yeah, especially hotels like the Mandalay Bay,
right?
That are high
so
up.
Tall, because the winds are even fiercer the higher you get up.
And imagine the hotels that are like on like coastlines and stuff. It's probably even.
This does not make sense.
Better requirement for stronger windows.
This does not make sense. So yet again, every day that goes by, the conspiracy theories get more elaborate, complex, more ridiculous. And it's just to explain away what could have happened, and it's just ridiculous. It's ridiculous. But all right, let's get to the I guess another tragedy that's going on in the world concerning America. So in Puerto Rico, we all know that following Hurricane Maria, the island of Puerto Rico has been devastated. We've reported before that most of the island is without electricity. I believe right now still like 90% of the island is without electricity. It's an island of about 3.5 million people. We've talked about the slowness of the response of the United States of America, of the Trump administration, to aid the people of Puerto Rico. Trump has been down there. We saw him practicing his basketball skills,
free throws,
doing some free throws with some paper towels in the crowd, like this is some joyous event,
like he's Chef Curry or something.
Yeah, Chef Curry, right? So there's been a lot of criticism, and I believe rightfully so, because again, the response has been slow and it's been disproportionate to other natural disasters that we've seen just weeks prior in Texas and in Louisiana. It's been different. I think a lot of people have noticed that. And so on Twitter on Thursday morning, this morning, Trump decided that he's going to make this situation even worse with his words yet again. So this is what he tweeted out. Let's see. He said, Puerto Rico survived the hurricanes. Now a financial crisis looms largely of their own making, says Cheryl Atkinson. He was quoting her. A total lack of accountability, say the governor. Electric and all infrastructure was disaster before hurricanes. Congress to decide how much to spend. We cannot keep FEMA, the military, and the first responders, who have been amazing under the most difficult circumstances in PR, forever.
So Puerto Rico didn't, have the most state-of-the-art infrastructure, or the infrastructure was failing before the hurricane, right? Okay, what does that have to do with hurricane relief? Why are those two things being mixed in with each other? Why I don't understand him kind of bringing that into discussion. That's a separate discussion.
Like, even if they were irresponsible with their finances, the way they run the island, whatever, even if they were irresponsible with whatever he's talking about, right?
We know what he's talking about. We know what he's talking about. We'll talk about it a little bit. Go ahead.
But if they even if they were irresponsible, a natural disaster hits. Who comes in and saves the day? Because it's like there's a track record of what happens when there's a natural disaster. Who comes in and saves the day?
Oh, yeah, if you're talking about whatever financial situation Puerto Rico was in before the hurricane, that's one thing. Yeah. But like, they didn't just waved a hurricane over.
Exactly.
They didn't like, yeah, come on.
They didn't invite it.
They didn't invite it. You know what I'm saying?
To destroy the island. No.
Sounds like he's just trying to like kind of hedge his bets. Maybe he's trying to like go ahead and set up some excuse if this whole relief effort doesn't go like he says it's going.
Oh,
and
very likely.
The thing is,
this is out.
This is out.
Yeah.
And we knew the situation in Puerto Rico when he went there and when he went on his victory tour and he had his little round table of congratulations. We were like, wait a second.
Yeah. Why is he making this about him?
Why are he not only that is like, yo, y'all don't need to be he doesn't need to be having some sort of like round table of applause when the junk is not even half over yet. When the relief effort is not even it's not even close to half over.
Yeah, like to even say the recovery is like underway would kind of be selling short the devastation that is still going on right now that they're dealing with. Again, no electricity, people are still hungry, people are dying of hunger and of thirst. I mean, we have a real situation of devastation. And first of all, yeah, he's talking about how great things are going, which is false.
Nope.
And then just a few weeks into the recovery, since the hurricane had moved past Puerto Rico, he's talking about, well, we can't be there forever. Like it's because of the mismanagement of Puerto Rico. That's crazy. The mayor of San Juan, Carmen Julene Cruz, she said, I ask every American that has love and not hate in their hearts to stand with Puerto Rico and let this president know we will not be left to die. I ask the United Nations and UNICEF and the world to stand with the people of Puerto Rico and stop the genocide that will result from the lack of appropriate action of a president that just does not get it, because he has been incapable of looking in our eyes and seeing the pride that burns fiercely in our hearts and souls.
Didn't just last week he was talking about forgiving the debts? Forgiving the debts, their Wall Street debts, or I guess more specifically, the debts, or I guess from the municipal bonds that are, you know what I'm saying, that people have invested in. Right. So I guess that's what he was talking about. So he was just talking about that last week. So why this kind of like backflip? Like what is he backflipping for? I guess. I don't even know why I'm asking that question, because initially he's going to want to look like the hero, and he's going to want to say things that kind of I guess illustrate him to be the hero and the responsible one, the one who's responding. So yeah, he's probably going to say whatever it takes to make himself look like the hero.
Yeah, like I said, he makes everything about him. He's going to make that about him. But then
when it comes full circle,
when it gets thick, when he says, well, this could be him thinking, look, man, we're going to be facing some dire situations. I better put something out there that says somehow Puerto Rico's at fault. You know, in some way, Puerto Rico made this more difficult than what it should have been. And we can't be there forever, okay? We can't pick you up forever. But
I think to point at debt as somehow some sort of irresponsible condition to be in, and then to go through a disaster, I'm thinking, wait a second, isn't the United States like in over $20 trillion in debt? Are we going through disasters right now?
Yeah.
So what if? Yeah. You see what I'm saying? So
states are in debt too.
So what?
Doesn't make any sense. It would make no sense whatsoever. And just to briefly touch on like the debt that he's talking about too. So I think we've talked about this before. How businesses were given major tax breaks to be in Puerto Rico. Those tax breaks dried up. They went away. What happened to the businesses? They left. And the thing about it is like before they used municipal bonds to fund their infrastructure. These municipal bonds were purchased by individual investors, individual
people wanting to invest in Puerto Rico. These bonds, you know, were easily paid off because all those corporations were there, you know, due to the tax breaks. When the tax breaks expired, the corporations left, which now they can't pay back the interest on those bonds. So they just kept going further and further in debt. That's where their debt comes from.
But yeah, but we're talking about debt, right? Now the Congress agreed to help them out, right? They like bailed them out, right? But we're still talking about debt. This is money that Puerto Rico has to repay. So it's just a foolish conversation to have when Puerto Rico is going through the effects of a natural disaster. Hurricane Katrina. The U.S. spent billions, I believe over $100 billion, and spent years cleaning up that mess in Louisiana and in other states as well. When Hurricane Harvey came trolling through and devastated Texas and Louisiana, I don't remember Donald Trump saying anything about, well, look, man, eventually you're gonna have to, you know, pull yourself up by your own bootstraps, get on your own feet and do some work. I mean, we can't be here forever. He didn't say anything about this. So that now he's talking about potentially leaving Puerto Rico. It just lends more credence to him feeling like these people are not a part of us.
And that's the thing, like when he says things like we can't stay here forever, those are a few
weeks.
I know it's only been a few weeks, and then those are words of somebody who doesn't see Puerto Rico as a part of the country.
We can't stay here forever. Like here is America. Yeah,
he's talking about it like so it's not a part of America.
In his own words, he's separating us from Puerto Rico.
In his own words.
So again, we talk about people are so offended by NFL players that are taking a knee, trying to shed some light on some real stuff that's going on in this country and has been going on in this country for years. This president, like, forget the president. It's objectionable. It's reprehensive to, and not just for a president, for just a regular person. Anybody that would call themselves a patriot, anybody that's a citizen of this country that believes in helping everybody in this country. It's objectionable for anybody like that, especially a president, to say, hey, we can't help you forever. That's what the federal government is for. When natural disasters hit, the federal government steps in. That is what FEMA is for. There's a whole agency that is devoted to helping when disaster strikes. But just a few weeks in now, this asshole is saying, look, we can't be here forever. We can't be here forever, like it is somewhere different than the United States of America.
Okay, you kind of hinted at kind of people's, I guess, their feelings being hurt about people kneeling for the flag.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
Kind of brought that up. So it leaves me to think that the way Trump is acting is not representing the principles of the flag people say they respect. So they're more concerned with just superficially.
They're just concerned with a knee on the field.
But really not concerned with a president that actually doesn't exemplify the principles that the symbol represents.
So it's like the heart of patriotism.
The heart of patriotism.
They're not really concerned with it. And that's what we've said before. This isn't about patriotism. This isn't about disrespecting the flag or the anthem or the country or military service members. This is about a knee on the ground.
You mentioned like FEMA and all that. What about Red Cross? What's the Red Cross doing right now?
The Red Cross? I mean, they're gathering money, right? I mean, they're gathering money.
I know there's some, you know, like I think like when we talk about disasters, you know, the typical topics come up, the typical issues that usually come up, you know, I guess post-disaster. You know, like electricity, fuel,
water.
but not just water as in like the consumption of water, but how sensitive that consumption needs to be based on possible contamination. Is there anything being done about that?
Well, look, okay, so right now because the death total is above 40 now. I think the last number I saw was 48 confirmed deaths because of Hurricane Maria in Puerto Rico. So it's rising, and it's expected to get even higher. There's I believe over 300 bodies in the morgue in the hospital right now that have not been that haven't gone through an autopsy. So like I said, like, we don't know exactly the extent of this disaster, right? Okay, but we do know that now there have been some confirmed deaths that are attributed to leptospirosis. Now, leptospirosis is a bacterial infection. You get leptospirosis from drinking contaminated water. So there's a lot of people on this island that have not been accessed yet. Mm-hmm. You said before we came on the show, I believe you said maybe about 30% of the island,
something like that. Yeah, and
have not been serviced yet.
Yeah,
maybe?
And then there's there's been some veterans on the ground,
right,
helping, who's been trying to
reach different corners.
Right. You know what I'm saying? Like from the, I guess, areas that are not as populated.
Right. So people, think about this, okay? We've gone through weeks now since Hurricane Maria has gone. So people, you can't live but what, about 3 days without water. So they're taking chances. They're going to rivers and streams and creeks, and they're drinking this water that could be contaminated, and they're developing this bacterial infection. They're contracting this infection, and the way you contract it, well, why this water is contaminated is because of animals or maybe rodents that are urinating in the water. Now, this infection is treatable. You can treat it with penicillin, some antibiotics, but left untreated, it can be fatal. And again, I believe there's a confirmed 10 cases now of people dying because of this bacterial infection. So that has nothing to do with the devastation that Hurricane Maria left by. Now we're talking about the response. Now we're talking about the slowness of the response. We're talking about the federal government. We're talking about Donald Trump's administration not doing what it should or could be doing for fellow Americans on this island. Now, last week, the UNS Comfort, which is a ridiculously sized medical ship, it finally got to the island of Puerto Rico. So it's docked there now. The last count I saw was that 8 patients were being treated aboard this humongous medical ship. Now, we're talking about a ship that has over 1,000 beds, over 800,000. Oh no, I say over 800 medical.
Think about DACA, boy. You think about DACA.
Yeah, over 800 medical professionals, highly trained medical professionals. They're able to develop clean drinking water. They're able to treat anybody that needs to be treated. This is a hospital on water, and right now, they have treated 8 patients. People are dying on this island because of a bacterial infection. People don't have access to clean drinking water. Hospitals are burning up fuel, and you know, their generators are useless now.
And all these problems and the consequence of the hurricanes have nothing to do with the debt. All of that has nothing to do with the debt.
Nothing.
The people are not coming down with infections because of the debt that existed prior to the hurricane.
No.
The people are not suffering from a lack of water, a lack of food, and lack of electricity because of the debt that existed before the hurricane. Mm-hmm. Not to say everybody in that country or that territory, my bad, was like living the high life and perfect. You know what I'm saying? Not saying that, yeah. But I think it's just kind of an insidious position to take, especially after people are going through such turmoil where they have literally nothing. They had literally nothing. And it's almost like, kicking somebody when they're down.
Worse than that, you know,
And
even
then,
worse.
And then telling them that, hey, why'd you put yourself under my foot? You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. You know, we can't be here forever. We can't help you forever. I know it's only been a few weeks, but we can't help you forever. You're gonna have to get up on your own too, and do what you have to do for yourself and for your people. Your people.
They don't even. I mean, own to what?
Exactly.
They don't.
Like I said, people are taking chances because they're in dire need of drinking water. You can imagine what that's like. I mean, being on the cusp of dying and being like, well, look, I gotta take a chance. I need some water.
Would you say the mayor?
The mayor, what, her name?
Yeah.
Carmen Julian Cruz.
What did you say she said about like the supplies she had received?
Oh yeah. So yeah, she had received some supplies, and she actually even gave those up. She didn't even disperse them out to her people, you know, in her region, because there was another region that needed it worse than she did, worse than what her people did. Like I said, I don't know. Like I said, I don't know the exact percentage of the island that does not have access to you know, this aid, this relief, clean drinking water, but it's significant enough. It's significant enough. And like I said, these comments by Donald Trump, it just makes you think. It doesn't even make you think. It just highlights that this is a man that does not believe that Puerto Rico is one of us. He just doesn't. And he's signaling his intention to get up out of there sometime. I mean, like, if you're gonna say that just a few weeks after the disaster, come on, man. Like, what are you doing? That's not a patriotic position.
Businessman got to cut costs. He's a businessman. He sees everything through a cost benefit analysis, so he doesn't see the benefit in it.
But they're part of our budget. They're part of our budget because they are Americans as well.
It doesn't matter.
Because I mean, but
it doesn't matter to him.
I mean, like, that would make. I mean, like, it wouldn't make sense. I can't say that would make sense. But even if you're looking at this from a financial perspective and saying that, my goodness, because you know he made the joke when he was there in Puerto Rico saying that, hey, you know, you're doing bad things to our budget. I can't remember his exact language, but he's like, oh, you're killing our budget. Even if that was true, did he say the same thing about Texas? Did he say the same thing about Louisiana? No, he did not. He chooses to say this about Puerto Rico and bring in some issue about their debt that is not at all in any way connected to a natural disaster that devastated the island.
Maybe it's because of the people who live there.
They're different, right?
They're different. And I mean, the thing is, he probably sees those people no different than he sees Mexicans. You see what I'm saying?
And you've heard his language on Mexicans.
Exactly.
Anyway. All right, Facebook. Appreciate you being here with us, but we got to go. If you would, hit that link and join us for the rest of the show on YouTube. We'll see you over there. Thanks for being here. All right. So again, Trump always makes the news, you know. And it has to be purposeful. Of course it's purposeful. You know, he has an ego. He's a megalomaniac. He has to shape the narrative in any issue, you know. But just a few days ago, actually just yesterday, just yesterday on Wednesday, he tweeted out, he's always on Twitter, I wish they would suspend his account. I wish they would suspend his account. I
guarantee you, at some point, the White House is going to wish that Twitter had suspended his account, because his Twitter account and the statements he makes go down as official statements.
Yeah, they are.
They're his words.
Yeah,
and there's
POTUS,
there's
POTUS.
There's a running log, and he's held by those words.
So on Wednesday, it was early morning. He tweeted this out. With all the fake news coming out of NBC and the networks, at what point is it appropriate to challenge their license? Bad for the country.
You see how what he did there? He substituted the country for himself.
Yes.
It was about himself, but he had to make it about the country to make it seem like he's looking out for us.
Yeah.
When in actuality, it's just he's just upset about you know, negative news coming out about him. And there, to him, there's no difference between
him and the country.
Yeah, and there's no difference between negative news and like news stuff that's untrue.
Right.
Like both of them are the same.
Yeah.
Like
if negative news is true, it's actually not true because it's negative and it's about me. It's false. It's fake news.
Yeah. So whatever it comes out in news that's bad, it's automatically fake. Right. So like he doesn't see any kind of I guess of value in being criticized at all. He says he does. He constantly says, "Oh, I'm cool with them being fair to me. It's cool. I'm cool." I'm like, but I've never seen him actually take any kind of criticism well.
Oh no.
In real time.
No, I think and people close to him have said too that you can't really criticize him either, you know, away from him or to his face. It doesn't go well.
But see, that doesn't make sense considering what he said his job was going to be. Remember, he's going to choose all the right advisors, people to do the job because he's inexperienced. So essentially what his strategy was kind of ran counterintuitive to who he is. So that just doesn't make sense. But to me, this kind of illustrates another issue. Like, to me, I don't care if he, you know, claps back at the media, whatever. He could say, "Oh, NBC, they're a bunch of liars," or "I don't like what they said," or CNN or MSN, or whatever. I'm cool with him saying that. I don't care. He can say, "I think they're lying. I think they're misleading people," whatever. Even if he's misleading people, whatever. He can come out and say he disagrees with what some analyst said or what some expert said or what some reporter said. Fine. But once you start to threaten people's or companies or corporations' license to be able to go on the air and talk and offer commentary, you're stepping into First Amendment violation grounds right there. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah. Now let's go further into because he said some other comments as well. So later on in the day, he was speaking to reporters at the White House, and he said, "It is frankly disgusting the way the press is able to write whatever they want to write." Also on Twitter later that night, he said, "Network news has become so partisan, distorted, and fake that licenses must be challenged and, if appropriate, revoked. Not fair to the public." So again, he's speaking on behalf of patriots. He's speaking on behalf of the country.
Yes.
He's saying that, look, to all of us that want real news, not fake news, this is unfair, and what we have to do is we probably have to shut this down. Now, by him referencing the licenses, right, it's a little funny because he's getting a few things wrong about licenses. He's making it seem like, okay, so NBC, he's making it seem like NBC, either the channel or the news programs have licenses, like or maybe just the channel has a license, but that's not the case. So, and this is from the Los Angeles Times. Substantively, Trump's threat is fairly empty. NBC and other networks do not hold a license for the network as a whole. Licenses are issued to local stations, of which NBC owns 28.
So basically, he would have to like somehow go after the licenses of all 28. And the thing about it is, stupid. And in NBC, it's not like all they do is news anyway.
I know. So now you're talking about different programs like comedy sitcoms. You know, you're talking about dramas,
reality TV, morning shows,
investigative.
Morning shows, nightly news, like that. Don't even, you know what I'm saying? You're talking about everything. You're talking about, like drama shows, TV drama,
everything. The whole channel, because you believe that the narrative of the news station, when they do broadcast news, you believe it to be highly negative to you.
Wait, what? Didn't The Apprentice air on NBC?
Wasn't he a part of The Apprentice for over a decade?
On NBC?
On NBC. I'm sure if he had a problem now with it, he probably had some problems during that time as well, but he didn't say anything about it. He was making money. He was making money at that time. I saw on MSNBC, I believe it was earlier this morning, on Morning Joe, but they had a good laugh about it because they were like, moron. Like, NBC doesn't have just one license. They have 28. Again, so you're going to have to take all 28. You're going to have to get them off of the cable providers that, you know, provide that channel. Spectrum,
and the thing is, again,
Charter, I mean,
yeah, and the thing is, and again, it's like, it's not like
Comcast.
whatever, and it's a part of a conglomerate.
Yeah,
they
it's
own a
just-
whole, like, whatever the conglomerate that owns NBC. They own a lot of stakes in a lot of
It's
other
what-
companies
NBC
too,
Universal,
like
right?
Universal,
Yeah,
and
it's-
there's a lot of, and these
There's
companies,
USA Network?
yes, and there's companies that it's like a little web of stakes. It's a little web of investment where all these major companies invested in each other, and then they're invested in other products too. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like when you see commercials on NBC, usually there's probably a product that they own some kind of holding in already, or they invest in. So I'm like, the net is wide with like these corporations. But my thing is, like, let's just say that he got his wish and that did take place. Who would determine what news would get their license revoked? Like what committee? What person?
Yeah.
Like, you know what I'm saying?
because
Like,
how would they not be biased?
yes.
How would they not be biased? Because Fox News, as anybody that has seen Fox News before, they hold a certain viewpoint. And it's very different than the viewpoint that you will see on most MSNBC shows, most NBC news programs. It's different. It's very different. It's conservative leaning, right?
So
it's Republican leaning.
It's partisan?
It's partisan. Hey, there's that word, right?
Oh.
But he has a problem with the slant that MSM or NBC has. But why would you know, if you're saying that there's an extreme bias, it doesn't just apply to NBC.
But see, it's not just bias though.
Oh, it's fake.
It's lies.
It's misleading
It's
the
lies.
American people.
It's lies and falsehood.
And Fox News would never do something like that.
And you know what? You know what's so interesting? Didn't he have like conversations with Alex Jones, who is the founder and host of InfoWars?
He has.
As I mean, I mean, do you consider that a trustworthy and?
Trustworthy.
Do you consider that a
That hurts.
You couldn't even take it.
No, trustworthy.
You consider
no,
that a trustworthy
I would
news
not
source?
ascribe that to Alex Jones.
But he likes
whatsoever.
InfoWars.
Yeah.
He likes Alex Jones.
Alex Jones, Fox News, he seems to be okay with.
Yeah. Oh, and Breitbart too.
Yeah.
I mean, so he's okay with, you know, certain news networks that are, you know.
Think about this, man. So Donald Trump is hinting at killing the First Amendment, right? He's hinting at killing the First Amendment just to fight NBC or anybody else that has a viewpoint that he's saying is false news. It's bad for the American people. It's bad for the public. It's bad for the country. But you know what happened just recently? It was just this past weekend on Saturday. There was another neo-Nazi rally in Charlottesville, Virginia. There was another one. Wasn't as big, but they were holding their little tiki torches up. The alt-right founder, Richard Spencer, he was there. Now, why didn't he use this opportunity, Donald Trump? Why didn't he use this opportunity to revoke the First Amendment for something that is actually poisonous to the whole country?
Meaning something that is not good for the people.
No, absolutely not. And no reasonable person would say that it is. So if you're going to attack the First Amendment, why don't you do some good for the country, some actual good for the country? And not biased good. Because you're not talking about killing all the news programs, all the stations that broadcast news. You're only talking about the liberal news, what you consider liberal news that is fake news.
Or just any news that has, basically any news that, like, repeats back verbatim what he said. You know what I'm saying?
Gordon Smith, who is the president of the National Association of Broadcasters, he said, the founders of our nation set as a cornerstone of our democracy the First Amendment, forever enshrining and protecting freedom of the press. It is contrary to this fundamental right for any government official to threaten the revocation of an FCC license simply because of a disagreement with the reporting of a journalist.
I mean, doesn't this kind of run parallel with some of his kind of other responses to I guess, sing bad press. You know, he tried to sue Bill Maher. He tried to sue The Onion for a satirical article. He said we should open up the libel laws so we can he can sue media sources that have negative stories about him.
No doubt.
I remember last year he was talking about I guess terrorism and how they recruit and they use the internet. He said we should shut this thing down somehow. So it's actually kind of, this runs in line.
And even more recently, the ESPN commenter Jamel Hill,
him and
Sarah Huckabee Sanders said that she shouldn't be on on ESPN anymore. She should get fired.
So it's not even, see, and that's the thing.
Same path.
So it's not even just about Trump. Like he's got his press secretary stepping in it too.
Yep. Trying to meddle in to private companies.
That's against the U.S. code.
Man. That is. You're a government official, and you're trying to mess with private organizations
because of due to difference in political beliefs,
right? Which is against
the U.S. code.
But now we have talked about too, because this has only been we're about 9-10 months in, and we've talked about how he has been so controversial. He's been so divisive. And we have kind of predicted that there might be some Republicans now and in the future that oppose him. Now, of course, we talked about Bob Corker, Senator Bob Corker. Now, he's not holding anything back, but it's understandable because he's not running for re-election. So he can crack jokes and talk about how the White House is a what did he say? An
like
adult
daycare center, or somebody missed their shift or something.
So he can say things like that. But sit-in senators that have no plans to retire, that have plans to fight for re-election, it's kind of, like I said, it's kind of strange to see them come out and oppose Donald Trump in anything. But that's what Senator Ben Sasse did. He's a Republican from Nebraska. He said, "Mr. President, words spoken by the President of the United States matter. Are you tonight recanting of the oath you took on January 20th to preserve, protect, and defend the First Amendment?"
See, that he's backing Republicans into a corner.
He is, man.
He's backing them into a corner because they don't in any way want to be connected to that. And I think it's smart to do that because you don't want to. I know they have to tread lightly, but if they tread too lightly, they might end up hurting themselves or being seen as complicit in all of not in all of the direction that Trump wants to go. You know,
this is talking about the very First Amendment, man. This is talking about the very First Amendment. How could they? And
he doesn't get that.
How could they be on the side of Donald Trump, who's trying to attack the First Amendment? Because he has no fight here. He has no legitimate leg to stand. He has no legitimate cause to go after news stations, or not even news stations, news broadcasts, or just stations. Period. He has no leg to stand on. All he's so hurt by is that they talk so negative about him and his administration and his presidency. That's what he's hurt by. So using that, he's going to say, you know what? I've had just about enough of this First Amendment, man. We got to do something. These licenses, all 28 of them. NBC, you better watch yourself, man. We might have to do something about that. He's not going to get anywhere with this, but it tells you the type of personality he has and how sensitive he is. In so many different situations, we've seen his sensitivity hurt, damaged. Just a few weeks ago, we talked about the opposition to him on Inauguration Day.
Oh, yeah.
And what did he do?
He lied about how many people were there.
Yeah, he lied about that. But then he also got the Department of Justice to he wanted to get 1.3 million IP addresses
of the people
that visited a website
to protest him.
Yeah, it was a protest site. It was a site that was trying to organize a mass protest of Donald Trump at the inauguration. He wanted 1.3 million of the people that actually visited his website. Not that they actually caused any damage or committed any crimes. He just wants to know who these people are. this is the type of person that we're dealing with as the president of the United States. Somebody that is easily damaged inside from negative feedback.
And that's the and that's the thing. Like, he is the leader of that administration, so wherever he goes and whatever shit he steps in,
right,
whoever is tagging along with him is stepping in that same shit.
Same thing.
You know what I'm saying? So again, it's like, and who is the person that kind of speaks on his behalf or offers the most excuses for him? And that's Sarah Huckabee Sanders.
Yeah, the press secretary.
She's the press secretary. Look, I don't feel sorry for her. I really don't. No. I don't feel sorry for her cricket face ass. I really don't. But like, I think that's an important point to make, because if you start to tread on constitutional waters, then you know what I'm saying, everybody that's connected to you and like everyone that defends him is going to be on the hook.
Exactly.
That's going to be that individual's legacy. They're going to be seen and judged by that.
They're
you know what I'm saying?
They're as much a part of it as is Donald Trump, because if you're going to defend this nonsense, you're a part of it. You have to be criticized just as well. I mean, of course, Donald Trump is the head, so he's leading the path. He's shaping the discussion. But for you to defend this, for you to apologize for it, yeah,
like, it's
no sympathy.
Isn't it interesting how, like, in one breath, they're talking about standing up for the flag, standing up for the troops, standing up for the national anthem, and you got Sarah Huckabee Sanders, you know, defending Mike Pence and Trump's, I guess, their need to stand up for the flag and the national anthem, promoting patriotism. Patriotism, all right? And they connect this patriotism to all things, you know, all things exceptional about America. And, of course, they mention the Constitution, too. So, while at the same time, they're talking about people showing respect for the flag and being patriots, they are just wiping their ass with the very First Amendment of the Constitution, which is kind of just...
So hold up, Mike. Are you saying that you would categorize like attacking the First Amendment as unpatriotic? Yeah, I would. Yeah. Ain't that something?
Yeah, it's like I said. It's like they're a perfect example of how it's much harder to actually follow it and walk in the footsteps of the Constitution. You know what I'm saying? It's actually much harder to actually walk the walk as I guess even what they define as patriotism.
You can't, because you can't follow that logic, because it's always shifting. It's always going to be changing depending on their position. Whatever. All right. So a few days ago, we briefly touched on another one of Donald Trump's tweets. He's always on Twitter, twitting up some stuff, right? So on Twitter, and I believe you read this, probably at the end of the show, Donald Trump had said something about how Congress can't get its act together on healthcare, and how he was going to use the power of the pen to deliver great healthcare to many people, and fast. He had fast in capital letters and an exclamation point, right? So of course he had something up his sleeve. He had something that he was going to do. All right. So just recently, some details came out of what he was going to do. So, President Donald Trump signed a new executive order Thursday in an effort to expand health coverage options and reduce costs for Americans, an order that Obamacare defenders fear will damage gains made under that healthcare law. Also, the executive order eyes loosening of rules surrounding the issuance of health plans by employers, as well as rules about enrollment in short-term health insurance plans, which are less expensive and less comprehensive than Obama healthcare plans. So,
Read that last sentence again, bro.
It's
Well, the last
talking
sentence.
about
The very last. No, I'm sorry. The very last little part after that.
talking about the short-term health
Yeah,
insurance plans, which are less expensive,
yeah.
less comprehensive, than Obama healthcare plans.
So, in translation,
yeah, let's translate.
These are some skeleton plans.
Mm-hmm.
These are some skeleton plans.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, there's I guess lower premiums, lower co-pays, and lower deductibles, but they don't really like they don't cover anything.
No,
They're skinny plans.
they're short. They're designed to be short-term healthcare plans, and like if you need a healthcare plan just for a certain amount of time, and actually at the present moment they're only allowed to go, I think, about 3 months. So
they're trying to encourage the healthy people to leave the exchanges, because that's who's going to flock to these plans. People, the people who are healthy and who don't think they need it. So what's going to happen when all the healthy people leave the exchanges? The cost for the people that are remaining, who are probably the sick people, are going to skyrocket,
because healthy people help keep the costs down.
That's what insurance is. So the market is it's going to become untenable for the sick.
Yes, that's exactly the situation that this is setting up. Now, this decision, this executive order that he signed, it alone really won't do much. That's what people are expecting. It really won't do too much. You're not going to see a mass exodus of people just rushing off of Obamacare plans, because one, like we said, like what the article on CNBC said, is that these plans are, one, short term, and two, they're less comprehensive. So they're going to be giving up a lot of what they have now in coverage just to go to something that is less expensive but not as comprehensive. So there would have to be some additional changes made, and the Trump administration is saying that, yeah, this is not the only thing that's like on the list of things to do. So for this to actually make a really big change in our healthcare system, in the ACA, and I guess who has plans under the ACA, is one, they would have to extend that short-term healthcare plan. It would have to go way beyond 3 months. That is one that they would have to do. Two, they would also have to set up some exemptions for people, so that they don't, some hardship exemptions, so that they don't have to fulfill the Obamacare mandate, so that they don't, because the short-term healthcare plans don't satisfy the mandate of having to have a healthcare insurance plan. So you would have to give exemptions to these people. And like I said, you would have to extend the length of time that a short-term healthcare plan is able to exist. If you do those two things, then yeah, now we're looking at a mass exodus of people, because they're going to be rushing off of Obamacare because it's too expensive, and they want short-term healthcare. So okay, yeah, let me get some cheaper healthcare. Okay, I don't get everything that I did have, but I can cover a little bit. So you're going to get sicker people, and the people that remain on Obamacare, like you just said, their premiums are going to do what?
They're going to skyrocket. And the aim, we already know what the aim is, because within a short period of time of people leaving the exchanges, the people that remain, they're going to lose their insurance, most likely because they can't deal with the heightened cost of the premiums. Basically, it's sabotaging the Affordable Care Act.
Yes,
but
undercutting it.
Undercutting it.
Yep.
It's basically just kneecapping it.
They can't get rid of it, but they're going to go around it.
But you know what's going to happen. You know what's going to happen. They're going to say that, see, it failed. And I'm like, no, you sabotaged it. I'm like, you know what I'm saying?
But he's framing this as, look, because you saw the tweet. Look, I'm going to deliver more health care to people that need it, and fast. Well, yeah, this could be fast. Like I said, if you do those two measures, if you do create exemptions for people so that they don't have to fulfill that mandate, the Obamacare mandate, oh yeah, it'll be fast. A mass exodus of people will leave.
They'll see that,
and it will be it will primarily be the healthy people that leave.
They'll see that cost and be like, ooh, and they're hoping that people kind of overlook the lack of coverage they'll get.
Yeah, but again, this is short-term health care. For anybody that's had short-term health care before, you know it's not comprehensive. You know it's not comprehensive. So this can't be this can't be a fix-all. This isn't the fix to the situation. All he's doing is trying to put like an ant-sized band-aid on our healthcare problem right now. Ooh, boom, boom, right there. That'll fix the problem for a little bit.
Know, it's good for the insurance companies.
Oh, of course it's good for the insurance companies. I mean, like, because they're going to get their money.
They're going to get their money actually on both sides of it.
Yep.
They're going to get their money on both sides.
This is not a fix. See, they've been trying for years to get rid of the ACA. Can't do it. This year they've tried what, 3 times? At least they've tried 3 times to get rid of it. All failed. So now he's undercutting it. He's saying that, look, man, this thing is bad. And like you said, the narrative right now is that Obamacare is failing. It's failing. But if he's able to do this, it will have failed. And it won't be because of me, Donald Trump, the president. No, it will be because of Barack Obama, the last president that put this mandate in effect. This is our president. Again, this is our president just being Donald Trump. A lot of his rhetoric says that he wants to be the best president. He wants to do what's good for the American people. But in his actions say a totally different thing. This is going to be bad for the country. Way more people are going to get sick. Way more people are not going to have access to the healthcare that they desperately need. And the people that do have that healthcare and remain on that healthcare plan, their premiums are going to soar like crazy to where they're not going to be able to have that healthcare plan anymore. So what are they going to do? Maybe they'll get a short-term health insurance policy, right? But then that won't help them because these are the sick people we were just talking about. And everything's not going to be covered for their sick condition.
I mean, you think about, like you just said, they've tried to repeal and replace already 3 times.
Yep.
And then during the 8 years Obama was president, well, obviously the healthcare didn't get enacted right when Obama became president, but during Obama's presidency, it was like 55 times or something, 56. I can't remember.
I can't even remember.
So
it was something crazy.
Okay, now, well, talking about the 3 times, it's important to note that even Republicans didn't sign on to it. So if Republicans didn't sign on to the repeal and replace that was, going down this year, what makes Trump think that he can just pen an executive order and all of a sudden they're just going to write a bill? Because that's all an executive order does. It's instructions to Congress. And I want to say they can actually, they can override an executive order.
Yeah, they can.
So
I guess, are they going to though?
Yeah.
Are they going to? That I don't know, because this is more under the cover, like this is like a shadow, because it doesn't appear on the surface to be as incendiary as like the Graham-Cassidy bill or the repeal and replace or just the repeal. Right. It doesn't seem to be as devastating, as horrible as those other measures, because hey, we are giving more healthcare to people. More people will have access to healthcare.
Access.
Yeah, access.
Access
not
to plans.
Yeah,
access to the plans, but access. They'll have access to plans, but they really won't have good access to care.
Exactly. So, will they act? Anybody's guess. I doubt it. I doubt that they will act. I think, like I said, on just by itself, this executive order probably won't make too much of a dent in anything. Probably won't have too much of an effect. But if they are able to extend the short-term healthcare policies, if they're able to pretty much kill that Obamacare mandate, if they're able to do those two things, oh yeah, we're looking at significantly worse options in healthcare. Significantly worse. Now on which was this? This was Tuesday. Donald Trump was with Sean Hannity.
I don't even know because there's two things that happened really close together. He was in, was it Brighton or Brighton? Middleton, Pennsylvania.
Yeah,
at the Air Force Base or something.
It was a air base, something like that.
And there was he did a speech, and then he did an interview with Sean Hannity on Fox News.
Yeah, he did an interview with Fox News, Sean Hannity, and there was a crowd. There was a crowd that was watching the interview as well, and he made some claims,
interesting claims.
Some interesting claims that didn't really make a lot of sense.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I'll read one of them right here. So this is one of the things he said. He said, "The country, we took it over and owed $20 trillion. As you know, the last 8 years, they borrowed more than it did in the whole history of our country. So they borrowed more than $10 trillion, right? And yet we picked up $5.2 trillion just in the stock market. Possibly picked up the whole thing in terms of the first 9 months, in terms of value. So you could say in one sense, we're really increasing values. And maybe in a sense, we're reducing debt." So he's poking out his chest. He's feeling good about himself because the stock market is looking better under Donald Trump than it did under Barack Obama. And that's true. The stock market is performing better for Donald Trump right now. So this is good news, right? Hey,
okay.
The stock market has seen some gains. So, you know, overall as a country doing better because, you know, we're getting this debt down, right? Right, Mike? The debt is decreasing because the stock market has got some gains, received some gains, man. It's doing so much better because I'm president. I helped it. Does that? So, do two go together? The stock market and the debt, the national debt. Do those two go together?
I'm gonna go to my Fidelity account right quick. Let me go to my wait. I got a Fidelity account.
Yeah.
I got my TD Ameritrade stock. Let me go to my TD Ameritrade stock options and see what they've yielded. Let's see. All right. Oh snap, dog!
What you see?
Yo, dog. I'm glad you told me about this, man. I'm gonna have to give you a cut of this, bro. Man,
we'll
dog.
put it into the show, man.
Dividends, bro. Dividends. All right, now, next thing we gotta do, we gotta call Trump.
We gotta call Trump
and let him know. I gotta report to him.
Yeah.
How much? Like, I gotta report to him how much I've earned through my stocks, right?
Oh, okay. Because you want to tell him.
I want to tell him how much the debt is decreased because of that. Because of my investments. My investments have paid off.
Right.
So I got to tell him how much of the national debt is going down I got to report it. First I got to report to the IRS, then he'll know. So then they can tabulate it, they can calculate it all up. You know what I'm saying? Once they calculate everybody else's investments into that. You know what I'm saying? Then they'll determine how much of the debt gets tipped away. Right? That's what you're talking about, right?
This dude has no understanding whatsoever of the national debt or the stock market. Now, I can be fully forthcoming, right? I don't know that much about the stock market.
Yeah, I know, me neither.
I don't know that much. But I know it's not tied to the national debt. I know that simplistic, basic evidence. Like, I know that fact, that the stock market has nothing to do with the national debt. Like, the stock market has to do with shareholders, not government officials, not money that we have spent as a federal government. Has nothing to do with that. Imagine, like, does any company on Wall Street, man, Goldman Sachs, or like,
they're making hand over fist.
So Goldman Sachs is decreasing the debt. Goldman Sachs These greedy bastards.
They're decreasing our national debt out of the goodness of their heart. Yes, sir.
Trump has no idea what he's talking about. It's sad. Like, why do you appear on national television and you completely get the facts wrong? They have nothing to do with one another.
And you know what's so bad? Sean Hannity was so, you know, I guess, preoccupied with tossing Trump's salad that he didn't even.
He just went right by.
He heard it. He had to have. He heard it.
He had to have heard it.
He had to have heard it.
He said nothing.
And I know Sean Hannity knows better. As much as I disagree with him on a myriad of issues, I know he knows better.
He has to.
He knows better.
He has to. Because even, like I said, I don't know the stock market very well. I remember I remember economics in 12th grade. I remember we brushed on the stock market. I remember you know, you had to pick a stock, follow it. Yeah. You know, I learned a little bit of that. I forgot all of it. I forgot every single bit of it. I don't know the stock market that well. I mean, I have no shame in that. But apparently I know more than the president does about how the stock market relates to our national debt.
See, sometimes I can't. Sometimes I can't tell whether he's like just that incompetent or that he's lying. I don't know which one would be worse. Like, does he know? Does like
hard.
Is he?
I don't know.
You know what I'm saying? Like, is he that incompetent, or does he know he's lying? He's lying and he knows he's lying. Because it's like the speech he gave before that interview. At some point in the speech, he said something about what is that? The death tax.
Okay.
And he said how that is going to, I guess, increase the likelihood that people can pass their businesses on to their families. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's going to affect thousands of businesses. It's going to affect like everyone. Like the estate tax. He was in front of a crowd of probably mostly working class Americans talking about the estate tax.
Now, is the estate tax? Okay, I'm gonna ask you this question, right? Does the estate tax affect these regular Americans?
No.
Who does it affect?
It affects mainly the 1%. But the uber wealthy. I want to say, man, I forgot the number. It was like I was actually I think I was way off at one point.
I think it's during like 30 million or something like that. It's more than that?
I think it's like 500 million. I could be wrong. Somebody could correct me in the comment section, in the chat. I thought the first 500 million was off limits.
Wow.
I could be wrong though.
And so they need even more protection.
They need protection from this estate tax.
So again, this has nothing to do with regular people.
You know what? Even if it was 30 million. Let's just say let's go with that.
How many people, like the people in this crowd, the people that are
they got 30 rallies? They got $30 million to handle. But even if they did have 30 million, it'd still be off limits because it like there's a certain portion that's off limits to the tax.
Right.
I want to say check the comment section, see if anybody corrected me because I think it's 500 million. It's 5 million. 5 million. 5 million. Okay, that sounds about right. Thank you, Jay Scott. Well, whatever. You know what? It doesn't matter whether it's 5 million or 30 million or 1 million.
These are not regular people.
These are not regular. No, these are not regular people that are going to be affected. And the audience that he's speaking to is definitely not going to be affected.
He also touched on repatriation. He touched on repatriation. Now he said some stuff like. He said, "Look, presidents before me have been trying to get this money because repatriation is the money that's overseas. Multinational companies are pretty much they've hijacked the money and they've kept it overseas. They're stashing their profits overseas because they don't want to pay the taxes on it, getting it back into the United States.
So what is Trump going to do?
Trump wants to bring that money back over to the United States, and he's saying that we'll get a rate of about 10%, maybe a little bit higher, maybe a little bit lower, but it'll be right there about 10%. Because who's going to want to bring that money over now when it's like what? It's like 30%, 35%.
No, he said 35%. Then he said it's almost 50.
Yeah,
I was like,
he said it's almost 50. Yeah, 35%. Even Handy was like, yeah, who'd want to do that? This was a clown show, right? Who would want to do that, right? So he's like, yeah. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna get that money back over here, and man, we're gonna create all these jobs, man. We're gonna create all these jobs by repatriating this money, billions of dollars over there. What? Yeah, that'll be good for the American people. And presidents, Democrats, Republicans, they've been trying to do this, but they haven't. But I'm gonna get it done. Donald Trump, your boy's gonna get it done.
Okay, so. You said what? He said what? Democrats and Republicans want to do and try to do it?
Yeah, they try to do it, but they haven't been able to do it. This is something that Democrats and Republicans have wanted to do, but they haven't been able to get it done.
Oh, so the repatriation strategy hasn't been attempted before? Is that correct?
Yeah.
That's
according to him. According to
him.
Donald Trump, yeah, it's been attempted.
But is that correct though? Is that true?
Well, yeah, it's been attempted.
No. He said they didn't get it done. Yeah, he said they wanted it.
Yeah, they want.
They tried.
I'm saying it's been attempted, and it's been successful.
Successful for who?
Yeah. Well, wasn't it? Hold on. Wasn't that President? Wasn't he a Republican?
Yeah.
Wasn't that George Bush? George W. Bush. It was George W. Bush, right?
Yeah. Yes.
I believe he brought back $312 billion.
And what was the tax rate?
It was somewhere around like 5%. 5%. Something like that.
Okay.
It was very low.
And upon bringing this back, they were supposed to hold to an agreement.
Yes, they had promised. to make some efforts to develop, invest in research and development, and in jobs, of course. They promised. They promised to do these things. But then they reneged on that promise. They actually ended up just buying back some stock, paying some top executives.
And didn't they lay people?
They cut jobs.
They cut jobs.
And they cut research. They cut research and they cut jobs.
Okay.
And then let's put the end on it, because we're here right now, right? How did this money get back over there?
They sent it right back over.
Yeah, well, they didn't send it back over. They just started stashing it, money back overseas again.
Probably in hopes that somebody was gonna. Probably in hopes that somebody was going to suggest the same repatriation.
That would be predicting the future. Yeah. That would be like them being like, Mike, I mean, like, how could they do that? How could they surmise that maybe another president would be like, you know what, might be a good idea to get that money back over here?
So let me get this straight. They were offered a repatriation deal.
Yeah.
For a certain, like, around 9, whatever the tax percentage was, 9-10%. With stipulations behind it.
You mean on this most recent?
No, the one Bush.
Oh, on the Bush. Like I said, yeah, they had promised that they would fund research, that they would increase jobs, they would create jobs for the American people. So here, domestically.
So even with stipulations,
yes,
attached to the repatriation of the money,
yep,
they didn't follow the stipulations. They didn't follow the promises. They didn't follow through with their promises.
Nope.
So this repatriation idea that Trump just put forth is a lower tax rate. He didn't mention any stipulations.
He did not mention any stipulations whatsoever. Now, we don't know. Maybe there is some stipulations. He surely did not put it out there. He surely didn't reveal it. But again, one of the things that he said about the repatriation that he clearly stated was that he wants it to create jobs. That's the same thing that was supposed to happen before. So if this money is supposed to help create jobs, are you mandating it, or are you just making them pinky swear?
I think it's going to be a pinky swear. because he didn't mention anything about mandating.
No.
And if there was going to be such a mandate, he would have at least clued us in on one, at least one.
Because you know what? When you think about it, if your position is that you want this money back over here to create jobs for the American people, which you represent, and you're the jobs president. If that's your position, if you're being real, you would have to be real about the past and how it didn't work the last time. So you would probably be taking a hard stance this time.
You said be real about the past. What? What?
I'm saying, right?
See, okay. I see where you're going. Okay. So, are you saying, is there a possibility that he didn't know there was a repatriation attempt that failed, and it was the companies reneging on their on the provisions?
Well, look,
or are you saying he knows it happened before, and he's just kind of like acting like it didn't happen before? So, which is it? Does he not know?
I think we have to consider both because we see his incompetence. We have to consider both. But I would say that, come on, he has to know. He's a businessman, right? Some of his money probably probably came back over. So he has to know. He has to know. He's a businessman. He knows money. So he would have to know that there was a repatriation before that, several years before now, during George W. Bush's tenure.
Especially if, it affected him.
Exactly.
But see, the problem is we haven't been able to see his taxes.
Oh, there you go.
We're talking about Trump here, who, if he had something to show and prove, boy, he'd be just.
Yep.
He'd put on a billboard.
Yep.
He put it on T-shirts.
No
he put it on the side of tractor trailers. He put it everywhere.
He's all
show and
bravado,
prove
man.
bravado. So if when Trump is right, he is not going to relinquish an opportunity to show that he's right.
Oh, no
so
doubt.
if there was not anything suspicious about his taxes, he would have released them.
Yeah, he would have, but
and it would show that any and the thing is, I
several
think
promises to do so.
And the thing is, it would kind of show that the policies he wants to put forth not only benefit the rich and the wealthy, but himself too.
Mm-hmm. Like I said, man, there's no way he doesn't know about the last repatriation. So again, if you are seriously the jobs president, if you seriously want this money to come back for the right purposes, then you would acknowledge the past and how it did not work for the intended purposes that were laid out. You would put provisions in place so that that money that comes forth now, that comes back overseas now, you would make damn certain that it actually leads to the creation of jobs in this country.
But hey,
we know he's not going to do that.
But you forgot there's still another element, man.
What's that?
He wants to kind of reinvigorate or kind of I would say, reenact those 1986 Reagan tax cuts, buddy.
Oh yeah.
Those tax cuts that created all those jobs.
Reagan-esque. Yeah.
Reagan-esque.
Isn't that what Hanley called it? Reagan-esque?
Oh, yeah. Boy, yeah, you gotta like the vocab. Gotta love the vocab.
You gotta throw Reagan in there,
Reagan-esque. And he said it like it meant something. Like just throwing the name out made it good.
And then Trump started boasting that, hey, actually, this is gonna be far greater tax cuts than even Reagan did. Like that's a good thing.
Like that's a good thing.
How is that a good thing?
You know what's so funny? You know what he said about the Reagan tax cuts in 1991? He said, This tax act was just an absolute catastrophe for the country, for the real estate industry, and I really hope that something can be done. On the Joan Rivers show, he said, what caused the savings and loans crisis was the 1986 tax law change. It was a disaster. It took all of the incentives away from investors. That's what he said about the Reagan-esque tax cuts over about 30 years ago almost.
But his rhetoric has changed a little bit.
Just a little bit. Just a little bit.
A little bit.
But yeah, because he has to kind of pander to the audience.
Again, man, competent. Or does he know what he's talking about?
Yo, it's weird. It's like a
Go for bad.
If it's like these kind of three things kind of keep that ball in the cup hard to keep track. It's like hard to keep track of that ball in the cup because he's incompetent, or he's lying, or he's just being a professional contrarian, because he likes to do that too.
Right.
He's all three of those things.
Yeah. Look, man. Like I said, I think I said this on the last broadcast. I wish there was a positive story to do on Donald Trump. I wish there was a positive story. Haven't found one yet. All right, so we're gonna get to this story. Now this is a.
What are we calling this one? What are we calling this one?
What did you say? You said
teen tears.
Teen tears.
Teen tears.
Teen tears. So, before we even get into the heart of the story, I'm just gonna play the clip first. So we're not gonna give you any kind of dialogue about what this situation concerns. Maybe you read it in the details of the video, but we're just gonna let this video play, and then we're gonna discuss it. All right. So here's the video.
That are being the bullies and cyberbullying and all that, but I have been bullied at school because I wore a Lee shirt the day after they decided to change the name.
Exactly. Many of us choose to go to that school, and we are proud to wear the Lee name across our jerseys when we go out there and play the other schools in the district. We're supposed to.
All right. So that was just a little short video, but that was just a little short video. But on first glance, man, it looks like when I saw it, at first I saw it without sound. I saw it without sound at first. I was like, damn, who died, man? Like who died, or they look like they could be cheerleaders. I did
somebody,
did their
accident? Somebody had a bad accident.
True that, it could be an accident. Maybe the cheerleading team disbanded right before the last competition or something. They put all this hard work into it, and now they got nothing to show for it. They can't go on. Something devastating to these young people's lives.
Like they shut down the athletic program.
Something like I said, something just traumatic to something like a 15, 16, 17-year-old. All right, so let's explain what the traumatic situation was. So this is in Texas, in San Antonio. The Northeast Independent School District Board of Trustees, they voted on Monday to rename the high school that these young girls attend. The name of the high school was the Robert E. Lee High School. Robert E. Lee High School. Robert E. Lee is that former Confederate general, right?
Yeah. Not just a Confederate general. He did some fucked up stuff.
Yeah, man. He fought and died for slavery, to protect the institution of slavery. Nobody can dispute that. Sorry, you can't dispute that, right? So, yeah. I mean, there's been efforts made across the country to remove, his name from streets, removing images, statues, monuments.
They were being bullied, Will. They were made to feel bad about it. Yeah. It's not fair. They were bullied.
So again, the school voted to change the name. And actually, they had been trying to do this, I believe, for a couple years. But they were always unsuccessful. But this time, and probably because of what happened in Charlottesville as well, that probably gave them some extra motivation, some momentum to actually get this done. And finally, they came to an agreement in a vote. It was a 5-2 vote to change the name. They approved changing the name. So what did they change the name to? They changed the name to Legacy of Educational Excellence High School. For short, Lee High School. The acronym, Legacy of Educational Excellence, Lee High School. So they said that this was a move that was really looking at the I guess the financial impact of changing the name, because they were saying that this allows them to save some money, because they've always gone by Lee High School, so they don't have to change everything. Some of the stuff can still stay up because it's still Lee High School. And the board president, her name is Shannon Grona, She said the decision allows the school to keep its volunteers mascot. She said Lee was a compromise that retains Lee's history while minimizing the fuss and expense of reprinting stationery and painting a new name. So like I said, yeah.
So basically nothing.
Retains Lee's history. Ain't that what they were trying to get away from?
That seems contradictory to me. Isn't that's why to change the names to get away from that legacy? Why would you want to keep that legacy? And furthermore, like about these 14, 15, and 16-year-old girls, like other than a name,
yeah.
What are they invested in? I know I understand. When you're a teenager and when you're that young, your world is small because everything is so localized. So when something changes, it seems so massive when it really isn't.
Right.
But why are they so heartbroken over something that's not going to change their actual lives at all? They're proud of wearing the name across their athletic wear, whatever it is. I'm like, so these girls are getting bent out of shape because they're going to be different letters on whatever school paraphernalia that they wear.
No,
not even. Actually, my bad. Yeah, not even that.
Like, let's say that they changed it to Magic Bunny High School, right? That's a pretty different. That's a very different name. It could be anything. But that would be completely different. That would be really extricating yourself from the past, and that name, you would be totally removed from it. In that case, again, like, what are they so bent out of shape about? Like, it's a new name for the high school. What would you be so bent out of? There's some kids that change high schools in high school. Like, they move to different areas. Maybe some zones got redistricted. You know, they have to go to, like. Why would you be so upset?
That happened in our area.
Yeah, that happened here. That happens in my area. Yeah. So why would you be so upset? It's not like you were part of the construction of the school and like
that's what they're making it sound
like. Part of the name construction. The school's still there. The school still
They're making it like the school is getting torn down.
Hurricane didn't come by and blow it away. A tornado, nothing.
So
nothing happened.
Why are they like again? So why are they so like bent out of shape? And then they're so young too. I know one of the girls was a senior, but I'm pretty sure that there are some that are, that are included in this that are freshmen and sophomore. I'm like, what do you you've
been there for a year or two.
And even if the subject matter is not the high school, look at their age, like
true
15, 16, 17. Like what? I'm just having a hard time trying to figure out why these chicks were crying like somebody had lost their life.
What affiliation do they have with Robert E. Lee, the man?
That's the thing. Okay, that's the thing.
The man.
Okay. And see, the thing is, the only way that you can be crying so hard is if you have, well, I don't know, maybe there's another reason, but like
they feel some type of way.
They feel some type of way because there can't be. Yeah, you got to be connected to the name to be like. You can't just say, "Oh, I'm heartbroken simply because that was the name." It has to be a little bit deeper than that.
But see, like there were several names that were submitted that they had considered changing the name to.
Malcolm X.
I doubt that.
Malcolm X High School.
I doubt it.
Muhammad Ali High School.
I doubt it.
Marcus Garvey High School.
So they went with a compromise, right? They went with a compromise so that again, it was. I guess it was. This decision was reached when looking at the financial aspect of it, and when talking about, I guess, their past legacy and how it's always been referred to as Lee High School. So it can still be referred to as Lee High School. They're just not gonna attribute it to Robert E. Lee. So for these girls, like if what you're so upset about is that the name is being changed, it's not you, because we know how if a school is named after a certain person, like Martin Luther King High School.
Most people don't even care or know.
No, but because what did they call it? They call it King. They call it King High School, right? It's always about the last name, King High School. Well, this school is Lee High School. It's still going to be Lee High School. So you're telling me that these girls, these young girls, are actually mad that the Robert E is being taken out of the equation. Why would you be so upset about that at 15, 16? Why would you cry about being removed from a Confederate past? That's insane.
See, you know what? Maybe that's a good question. And maybe the school and or the district should step up, because this is a good opportunity for them maybe to set up some sort of little education seminars.
Oh, yeah, no doubt.
Because it doesn't make any sense. You know what I'm saying? Like, maybe like 5, maybe 10, 15 years from now, maybe they may look at this like footage of themselves and be like, damn, what were we crying about? You know what I'm saying?
So they might want to get ahead of this.
They might want to get ahead of this.
There was one of the board members that did not vote for this name change. He was his name is Trustee Ed White. He said keeping this name he said that it's like, I can't say that you changed the name because you didn't, but he said keeping the name as Lee High School is akin to putting lipstick on a pig. That's what he said. And that is true, because the overarching goal was to remove yourself from a Confederate past, a shameful past, a man that betrayed the Union, a man that fought to preserve the institution of slavery. They had the foresight to say, you know what? We can't have this anymore. We've got to change this name. We got to come to a decision on changing this name. By you keeping the name Lee intact, I don't care that you removed the Robert E. You really preserved. Actually, you did nothing by keeping the name the same. And I saw I saw some parents that were there. They were like, this means nothing. You did nothing. I mean, you might as well kept the name the same, because it's like nothing changed. It's still Lee. Like, it would be one thing if you just all of a sudden came up with, okay, legacy of educational excellence. Like, if that was something that wasn't connected to Robert E. Lee, but the sole reason for you choosing that name is to keep the LEE. And why did you want to keep the LEE? Because it's part of Robert E. Lee. This is so crazy, man.
Yeah, I know, man. I'm with you. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense.
Yeah, they did absolutely nothing in this name change. They changed it from Lee High School to Lee High School. This is like a kick in the stomach to everybody that wanted a serious name change, that wanted to remove themselves from that past. This did absolutely nothing. You still have the legacy of slavery.
You know what's so funny? I guarantee you, if there was a school name or a statue up of, let's say, an individual who did something lesser in history, let's say like Aaron Hernandez.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Or what was the guy who played football at Colorado, who shot his girlfriend through the car? Ray Carew. Remember Ray Carew?
Oh, yeah. From Carolina Panthers.
Yeah, Carolina Panthers.
Yeah.
Or just anybody else. I guarantee you, just that one act, one egregious act, if there was anything named after that person,
oh, you would want to extricate yourself from
They would change that thing with the quickness.
Yeah.
But individuals that played a major part in oppressing people, no, that's off limits. That's off limits. That doesn't mean anything. We don't want to get away from that at all. You know what I'm saying?
Like I said, the intention of what they were trying to do looks like it was good intentions. Looks like it was good intentions. They wanted to do the right thing. They realized that they couldn't be about this Robert E. Lee nonsense anymore.
Did they really want to do the right thing though?
I'm just saying. I guess from the surface, like if they're meeting as a group, if this board is meeting as a group and like, look, all right, look, we gotta change this name, man. It looks like, I mean, for you to even engage in that conversation, you're saying that you recognize that this history is way too damaging, way too controversial.
You're being too nice.
I'm saying on the surface.
Okay.
For them to even engage in this conversation, it's like,
Maybe.
well, there's something to this, and maybe we gotta do
not
something
necessarily. Maybe the purpose of them engaging in the conversation was purposely to see if they can work around it.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
Look, this did nothing. Like I said, it did nothing. If you're gonna change the name, change the damn name. It's not like you just wanted to, like when the New Orleans Hornets. You remember the basketball team? It was a NBA basketball team. They were the New Orleans Hornets, but they wanted something that actually represented the area and the state, so they chose the Pelicans.
Mm-hmm.
This ain't that. This ain't that. Like they wanted, this high school wanted, and the parents, people around this area, they wanted to change because of a horrible past that's connected to the high school because of the name. It's not just like, oh, let's pick something that has the same acronym. No, by choosing the same acronym, you're preserving that legacy, like you said, the legacy of damn slavery, the legacy of Robert E. Lee. Doesn't matter if Robert E. isn't in the title anymore. Everybody's gonna know exactly what you meant by changing it to L-E-E. Everybody's gonna know that.
They should change the name to
you can't get it out.
The Stokely Carmichael Academic Center or some shit. The Fred Hampton Academic Center.
They ain't gonna do that.
That's my suggestion.
Man, but somebody, like I think what you suggested is pretty good. They might need to hold some educational seminar to get in front of these youth. I mean, like you don't want these young people getting out in the world with this. It's like they're feeling something was done to them. You're taking away our name, our sacred name, even though our sacred name is still the damn same.
And even though nothing about our lives is going to actually change, you must want to.
Made me sick, man. Like I said, it looked like it was at a funeral, man. It looked like this was a funeral. Like something bad happened to these young ladies, man. Something bad. But I think that's all we got, man. That's all we got for the news today. Heavily Donald Trump once again. It seems like like so many issues, man, and it's very purposeful that he keeps himself in the news, and I think it keeps a lot of people from talking about, I guess, actual progress that needs to be made. It keeps people from actually formulating ideas on how to maybe fight against him, maybe to go around him, maybe a plan to succeed him in 2020. It just so much attraction is put on Trump's latest and greatest nonsense.
But the problem is, here's my thing: if there wasn't capitulators to the nonsense, we wouldn't have an issue. Yep. If the NFL didn't capitulate to the nonsense, we wouldn't have an issue.
True.
If the press secretary didn't capitulate and wasn't complicit in the nonsense, we wouldn't have an issue. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Again, if there weren't tons of supporters out there, we wouldn't have an issue.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Again, he's the president of the United States, so of course he's going to be a topic of a lot of conversation.
And again,
rightfully so.
And we kind of have to consider that, he's not just going to have influence on individuals. He's going to have influence on business leaders and investors. I've read briefly somewhere where after his statements about wiping out the debt in Puerto Rico, I think I read somewhere where apparently the municipal bond market took a slight hit because people started redeeming their bonds, because after he said, "Oh, we're going to forgive that debt," people were like, "Hold a second now. That's how we make our money." They started redeeming their bonds because of that. And I think there was the first redemptions in like 3 or 4 months. Mm-hmm. So he's not just affecting the minds of Americans. He kind of like, he kind of causes a knee-jerk reaction with investors, corporations, and business people too. You know what I'm saying? Because you never know what you're going to get.
Yeah. Again, I know that a lot of weight gets puts on Congress.
Dick Gregory, that's funny.
I know a lot of weight gets put on Congress because they are the lawmakers.
True.
They have to vote on things. They have to come together and actually make laws, sign off on laws and things. But as the president of the United States, he holds an incredible amount of weight, an incredible amount of influence. So just like you said, by just his words or his actions, things are affected. Like the stock markets, like whatever, like you were talking about investors. Things are affected by his words and his actions. And too often now, like I said, it's been 9-10 months, we're seeing so many negative actions. And then the times that we see maybe Donald Trump kind of pulling back from that, like when we talked about like the DACA situation, him actually negotiating with Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer, short-lived. I mean, like, what was that about? Just to kind of buy time so that he could get to the time where he's like, you know what? I'm gonna mandate this wall. Forget that. My poll numbers are going down way too far, way too fast. Let me chill out for a second. Because I think it's all a plan. I think this is all something that he's planning out.
Oh no, that's why I think this was about. It was about like this most recent speech.
Yeah.
It might become a time where these things get closer and closer because he's constantly stepping in shit all the time. So it might be a situation where these little little campaign trail type speeches are like, I guess the gap between them gets smaller and smaller because like he's constantly backing himself into a corner. He's gonna have to do this, especially with his poll numbers going down.
Yes. Diana said he's exactly as bad as I thought he was gonna be.
So why did some people see it and some people didn't? Are those people actually just naive, or they just didn't want to see it, or they just they had like an undisciplined frustration?
Who was he going against, man?
True.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like this wasn't any old election. This was not a regular type of election. I mean, as time goes by, we're going more and more and more into the digital age, right? Where people get their news and they get updated on their phones, on their tablet, on the internet. So more was known about these candidates, about all the candidates really, than ever before. So Hillary Clinton, everybody knew enough about her to oppose her. So Donald Trump is change. He was definitely change.
See to me that's a bit too simplistic and giving people out. That's taking people off the hook. Like, you can have frustration all you want, but you always have to have. You can't have undisciplined frustration.
But we know how people.
Or
are,
you can't
man.
Have. I know.
You know how people are. Man.
I think like that in of itself is not enough to vote for Donald Trump.
No, it shouldn't have been. No, definitely. No. There was no way. There was no way I was gonna. We even have some friends here that didn't like either one of them, but couldn't stomach the thought of Hillary Clinton being president, because that's how fierce the animosity was towards her. A lot of people could not stomach somebody like Hillary Clinton, somebody who was viewed as like the ultimate insider, somebody who was viewed as very crooked, very corrupt, a liar. Somebody that's always been, some people attribute debts to her. There's so many conspiracies about her as well. A lot of people could not stomach the thought of actually casting a vote for her. And again, it was so much easier because, like I said, we're in 2016. So much information was. John Podesta's emails got hacked. The DNC emails got hacked.
How she kneecap Bernie.
Of course, like I said, it was the easiest thing in the world to be against Hillary Clinton in 2016. And when you have Trump sitting there, I think a lot of people did say, you know, I'm not for all of this, you know, divisive and this racist and, you know, these bigotry. I'm not for all those overtones. But you know, he might be a little like a little earthquake, you know, shake up the game a little bit.
So basically, it's like, well, so,
I think a lot of people did not imagine he'd be this bad.
So that kind of goes away from that saying, like, you know, what's that saying? Better to vote for the devil you do know rather than the devil you don't know. So that goes completely away from that.
Totally. Like I said, I think a lot of people were doing this. You know, just like
Tricky Guy. I don't think so. I think somewhat. I think he's lost some of it, but not enough yet. His approval ratings are still low as hell.
It's only been 10 months.
9-10 months, but I mean, there are a lot of people who are going to give him a very loose leash, and they are kind of making excuses for him already, and they are actually constructing his presidency and how well it's gone before it can like do anything. Like, there's already people saying he's been the best president, even though
even
though we're not even in his fiscal year. Yeah. So there's already people, and I think what it is to me, I'm not saying that shows that I guess his detractors have won, but it kind of does, because if his supporters have to invent a presidency that he actually, you know, was successful at, if they have to invent that this early, what that tells you is they know he's going to be a failure, or they know he is failing now. So they have to call him the best president, say he's doing all these great things when he's really not, because they have to come. They know good and well the outcome is not going to be good, and they have to validate their decision. So the only way to do that is to kind of create like a false reality of how good he like what good he's done, which makes no sense now. That's why it's an obvious mental trapdoor they've fallen into, or they jumped into.
We can kind of draw a correlation with his supporters that are actually doing that and conspiracy theories.
Dog, that's what I was thinking. As soon as I was talking about it, I was like,
they've already invented this position that they're holding firm to, that they've grasped firm onto, and they're saying like, okay, this is it right here. No matter what new information gets in, no, this is it right here. So these people that are saying Trump is the best president, he's already done great things for this country. 9 months in, new information may not sway these people, because that's already an irrational position.
They've already reached that conclusion, and it is an irrational position, because they have been saying that like 4 months after, when he hadn't even done anything yet. So you know good and well that is a mental trapdoor they're falling into, and so they won't be in a depressed state when the time comes, when it shows that this dude is falling apart. Well, actually, he's been falling apart since he started.
Now, maybe fortunately, that's not true of everybody that voted for him. Like, he has his very solidified base that are doing the things that Mike was just talking about, that just excuse everything he does, and that are already proclaiming that he is a great president. He's done so many good things, right? But like I said, I think there's a good number of people that did cast a vote for him that are being affected by his words and his actions in a negative way, and they're, like I said, as the years go on too, they might start seeing that, man, this is not what I signed up for. This is not what I was expecting. I was expecting jobs. I wasn't expecting him to even keep his racist language and his bigotry. I wasn't even expecting that.
I don't think the way the path he's probably going to go down in order to kind of recoup this this horrendous approval rating.
#unrigged. That's the route, right? Black people.
Oh, I know.
Black people. Cynthia
McKinney. But I don't think the path that I guess presidents that are facing a tremendous deficit in their approval rating, I don't think that typical path is going to work, and that path is like starting a war. I can see him doing that.
Yeah.
But I don't think that would work.
I don't either.
I think that would make it worse.
Yeah, I do too. Especially because what's the country he's going to start a war with? What's the country he would start a war with, man? It would be North Korea above anybody else, right? So if he starts a war with North Korea, it's not, like I said, it's not going to be that same thing as starting a war with Iraq, because there's going to be some people, there's going to be some countries that comes to North Korea's defense, i.e. China, i.e. Russia. Not going to be a good situation. And look, nothing will surprise me, because I remember 2004 when George Bush got reelected. That threw me for a serious loop, because I remember, we went to the movie theater to see Fahrenheit 9/11. After seeing that movie, I was like, ain't no damn way George Bush gets reelected. There's no damn way he gets reelected. The mess that he has caused, how they've had some prior knowledge that an attack was imminent on U.S. soil, all these shenanigans with the WMDs and all this crap. There's no way he gets reelected. But he got reelected. The American people actually reelected this buffoon. So it's not gonna surprise me if Donald Trump gets reelected, because I know what the American populace does. So
see, I mean, that kind of answers Tricky Guy's question about the influence of the mainstream media. He says, if all the mainstream media is so negative about Trump, and yet he's as if unscathed. Why are we afraid of the mainstream media's influence on the vote if Trump's power is not lessened by the negative press? Why? I think he just kind of touched on it. It's because it's about the base. It was whatever the base does.
Yep.
It's whatever the base does. And if the mainstream media doesn't see, the thing is, I don't think the mainstream media can alter people's positions if they've already had those positions to start with. That's the thing. I think people go into it already taking their positions. I do think sometimes the mainstream media plays a part, but the only part they play is to, I guess, serve as the watering hole, for people to come get, to drink the water they already wanted to drink. You see what I'm saying? That's just really all the mainstream media serves as. It's yes, they influence people. They just reaffirm the value. So maybe that's the reason why the media doesn't have so much influence, because all they do is cater. All they do is cater to what people already believe. So
I think it's gonna take direction from Republican members of Congress. I think it is very likely that more Republicans, like the senator Ben Sass, came out and said, hey, Donald Trump, are you actually attacking the First Amendment? Are you actually not honoring your oath as president of the United States that you took on Inauguration Day? It's going to take more Republicans like that to actually be vocal. And this wasn't even opposition to him, but it had the appearance of it. It was like asking the question, are you serious about what you're actually saying? Because words matter.
It's basically saying, all right, man.
Yeah, I can't be with you if this is actually what you are.
If you go in this direction, man, you better not even tread lightly. You better just not tread at all.
Exactly. So it would take. I think it's going to take more sit-in Republican members of the House and the Senate to actually voice somewhat their displeasure of things that Donald Trump has said or have done. And I like I said, I think that's likely. We are only in month 9, 10, or whatever of his presidency. We got 3 more years to go. I think it's very likely that more of them actually come out opposed to him, because not all of them wanted him anyways. They were just hey, he's a Republican. He says he's a Republican, so we're gonna get behind him. But a lot of them are not comfortable with his actions and his words. You know that for sure. Are they going to get vocal, though? Are they going to get vocal about it?
It's one of those things where maybe when it starts to affect them. You know what I'm saying? You know how politicians are. what like you've seen bigots flip flop once it affects their own personal life.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying. So it might take something, I don't know, some situation may come up where it's like they're affected in some way. So I don't know.
Yo, 2018 is gonna be pivotal.
No, it is.
It's gonna be pivotal, not just in like who's gonna control the House and the Senate, but Trump is gonna be endorsing a lot of these candidates. Trump is going to be endorsing a lot of these candidates. Yeah. If these candidates don't win, if the Democrats gain control of the House or the Senate, that's going to be an indictment on Donald Trump.
Tricky Guy has another question. Says, you.
All right. What action steps does LTMB suggest for increasing alt news clout when MSN turns out to be merely a watering hole? What can we do better than that?
Maybe it's like sometimes it's necessary to kind of upset those spaces a bit. Like, if you're on, because all these mainstream news networks, they have huge websites. They have huge social media platforms. Most of them are on YouTube. A lot of them are on Facebook. Sometimes it's good to kind of challenge those spaces.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
No doubt. Look, that's what we're trying to do. We're part of that process in trying to challenge the MSM. But it's not gonna happen overnight, and it's gonna take a lot more eyes to be on channels like ours to actually even come close to challenging whatever narrative that they're trying to put out there, what stories they're trying to spin, what stories they're not trying to cover. It's like I said, it's gonna take voices like ours to become more relevant, and that's our challenge, that's our goal. That's just part of the process. Thankfully, we do live in an age where a lot of people are on the internet. Like I said, we just got to attract their attention.
Yeah, it's all, to me, it's all an illusion, because most people just pay attention to that stuff to be partially entertained and get the basic kind of, attain a basic level of political acumen, just like a basic, and that's good for them. I do think it is important to kind of challenge people in the spaces you exist in too, and not just online. Like, I guess friends, family. That's essentially how change happens and where change starts at. You know what I'm saying? Around friends, around family, around, stuff like that. I mean, so
you're right. But like I said, and like I said, our specific challenge is attracting more viewers. I mean, that's our specific challenge. Like you were saying, viewers, everybody in the country. It's not just about what you watch, but it's about maybe what you influence others to watch too. What you discuss with your friends and your family and things like that. But our specific challenge, like I said, is to get more viewership. And thankfully, and we appreciate it too, since the inception of LTMB, we have received mostly positive feedback. And pretty much is overwhelming positive feedback. We get, of course, we get some haters, we get some trolls, we get some detractors, but for the most part, it's very positive. And I think that's due to us taking, a logical and reasonable approach, using facts, using evidence to actually arrive at our commentary, our decisions. And like I said, I think what we have to say would grab a hold of people's attentions is just actually getting in front of them.
Yeah, and I guess elaborate more on what I mentioned earlier about, speaking to people within the spaces you exist in. Sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. There have been times where offering a different perspective or a more detailed or nuanced perspective to a conversation kind of like open someone's eyes enough to, look into something further than what they were. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I've experienced that before. So.
It's a challenge because you got to find that right button. It's a challenge. Yeah, it's a challenge. That's all I can say. It's a challenge. You got to find the right. It's not a one size fit all. You know, it's you know what, one size fits all. You know, let me put that hat on real
Oh
quick.
Lord,
Yeah,
they won yesterday.
Yes, they did. Yankees.
They won yesterday.
Game 5, they won. I don't know if anybody follows baseball, but the Yankees are in the ALCS. Gonna be facing Houston in 7-game series starting tomorrow. Gotta rep the Yankees, you know what I'm saying? Yankees!
Yeah, you need to rep the Yankees. That's all. Because them Knicks, boy. With the Knicks, the Giants, and the Jets.
And the Nets.
And the Nets. And, woo.
The Mets, I mean, all of those New York teams are not doing anything.
They need to have all the energy behind them right now.
Even though the Jets are currently tied for first place.
But they're tied for first place in a bad, bad division.
Yeah, they are. I think it's them and I guess it's them and New England that are tied for first place. But we know that's not going to last. And they're playing New England this weekend too.
No.
Yeah, so I'll see the box score. But yeah, that's all we have. That's all we have for you guys. Appreciate everybody that tuned in today, and you know, this is something we enjoy. We always look forward to it. Broadcasting on Tuesdays and Thursdays, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We'll be back, you know, over the, you know, after the weekend on Tuesday with a brand new show, some more topics to talk about. Actually, we had a whole list of other things to talk about, but we knew we weren't going to get to them. Things concerning Donald Trump, of course. What is it? UNESCO.
UNESCO.
We're going to talk about UNESCO. There's also this death penalty case that we were reading up on.
Crazy death penalty case, man.
This guy is actually he's scheduled to die tonight, and we don't know if it's gonna go down or not. But there's some there's some troubling aspects to his ordeal, to why he's locked up in the first place and why he's on death row, and it's just a bad situation.
There's also a Benghazi-like story.
Oh yeah, there's a Benghazi-like story.
Y'all gonna wanna. I'm serious.
Isn't getting any play.
Y'all gonna wanna tune in on Tuesday, because that's gonna be the first thing we deal with.
Hell yeah, man. No play, whatsoever, especially from the president. But we'll get into that on Tuesday. But again, appreciate everybody that's tuned in. If you would like to help support the program, support our goal, you know, our challenge of increasing viewership and increasing the quality of the program, we have an account, or we have a page at patreon.com.
We know about that one too, Jay. Yeah, the airport bomber story.
Oh yeah,
that's cool. Yeah.
But we have an account at patreon.com/LTMB. We also have a PayPal account as well. I remember somebody had told me about that, broadcasting the PayPal account, and actually this is the wrong one, because for some reason this PayPal account is not working right. But anyway, it's paypal.me/let the madness begin. So you know, I'm gonna fix that into the details too, but I'll do that later. But anyway, again, appreciate everybody that you know, tunes into us and who is active in the comment section and asks us questions and engages the other chatters and the people in here. Appreciate it all. So until next time.
We out. And if you want to follow us over to Facebook, we'll be over there for a little after show.
Correct. So everybody have a good weekend. LTMB out.